Flosstube, this is Jen from Squirrel Brain Studios. I wanted to reach out to you today and go through some other finishes that I found, some other WIPS that I found and forgot to show you last time, some WIPS, current WIPS that I did work on, current things I finished, and some new WIPS that came into the mix. Actually, quite a few new WIPS that came into the mix. I've had startitis mode. So I wanted to bring you along on this journey, so let's get started. A couple other finishes that I had were, one of them was a WIP that I had last time, the speckled bellied bird. I was able to, what did I do with my paper? I was able to finish it up from last time. Now, I did make a mistake in here. I have an extra row in that, I don't know where I got the row. So his eye is a little bit bigger, and I had to ad lib a little bit down in all the speckles on his body and stuff like that. But it's something, it worked out, and it looks fine. I definitely wasn't going to worry about frogging out on this particular one. I got enough other frogging that I've been doing. So that's a speckled belly bird by Mosey and Me. Next was a start and finish, and I used this as my blessing sampler for January. This is Season Wishes by Earth Threads. Now the only change that I made on this one, with it being on this tealish green fabric, the letters, the words were supposed to be in a little bit lighter gold color, and I didn't feel like they showed up very well. So I took the light teal that was used in a few spots in the design and chose to change the words to those colors. And I absolutely love the way this turned out. So I just got to search around, see if I can find a frame for this one. But this was my blessing sampler for this year. My word of the year is peace. Last year it was joy. I don't know if next year will be hope or not, but because this had peace in it, peace and joy, which is actually my favorite word, I wanted to do this and use it as a wish for a good future year. So if you give me a minute, I'll get these put away and we'll take a look at some of the WIPs that I've been working on. Okay, it is WIP time. Let's whip it good. This is my long dog sampler. Now on this one, I actually started to put in my letter D, and as you can see, I had the colored part of it in, was working on the back stitching around it, and realized I had the color part shifted one stitch, so I had to frog all of that out. And then I got to looking and noticed that my B and my C were the same color. Pulled out my chart, and guess what? The B was the wrong color. So I'm in the process of frogging all that out, the colored part, and we'll have to put that back in as well. So I didn't get much progress on this. I actually went backwards on it, but I guess that happens sometime. Just roll with the punches, and I'll pick it up at some time in the future and move on with it. Next, I wanted to show you something that I worked on. I think, if I remember right, Caroline from Thread Gremlins worked on this too previously and finished it. But it is Flight of Fancy, Italian 1801. And that is designed by Judy Whitman of JBW Designs. And I was able to work on this, and I started the one bird. Let me get this in behind to block it out. I started the one branch and got one of the birds in. I'm starting to get down into the body of the tree here. There will be another bird up here. Like I said, the body of the tree. And then, you know, I'll keep rolling. This is the first half of the design, but this again is Flight of Fancy, Italian, 1801 by JBW Designs. And I do apologize. I've tried to open most stuff, but it looks like I just forgot this particular one. So next I wanted to show you, it's called the Three Things Sampler by Moira Blackburn Samplers. This is a design, what the design looks like. It's got a lot of stitching on it, but it's one that I don't know, it's always struck me as being quite beautiful. So I started in the upper right corner, or upper left corner. I guess holding it backwards, it's my right. But I started working on the border and this one band here. Apologize, I did not iron anything. But the colors in this are really quite beautiful. And it's not a bad stitch. It's a little slow because it surprised me once I got into it just how dense the stitching is. I know that one day I stitched on it and didn't feel like I made much progress, but I did. But it was just dense stitching. But that again is the Three Things Sampler by the Moira Blackburn Designs. Sorry about that. One disappointment, a big disappointment that I had last week is on Susan Crowther's 1853 sampler. This was a WIP that I started this last week. And I, again, started in the upper left-hand corner. I was able to get the border in and one of the angels. But I discovered that there is a huge blood spot that got on this fabric. And this is, it's a Seraphim Chai. And I'm worried, I don't know if I'll be able to get that blood spot out. And it's right along where the border would come down. And that border's not real dense. So I'm afraid that you'll end up seeing it. If you see the border's got these flowers and stuff, but it's got a lot of openness to it as well. So I'm afraid that you'll end up seeing it's actually going to be slightly inside the border. So my thought was, if I can't get that out, what I may do is figure out how to totally rework this and only do like this top part. I'm not real keen on the words, so I may move the flowers up in here, or even the dogs. These are dogs down here. But I may move something up in and replace this text. Or I could even, not only replace the text, but put my information in there. But if I can't get the blood out, which I don't know that I'll even try because I'm afraid of ruining the fabric, I would end up probably chopping this off and just bringing this lower border up, getting above that blood spot so that I don't lose all of this, because I think it is a really pretty sampler. But again, this is Susan Crowther's 1853 sampler, and it is by From the Heart Reproductions. And again, that's on Seraphim Chai, and it's using DMC flosses. I stitch really all DMC with the exception of a very few things just for cost purposes. So another one that I started this time is called Peacocks and Posies by Redwood Manor. This is one of my rare exceptions. I am working with a silk thread. It's a Silks for You floss. It's a variegated thread. It's got blacks, it's got teals, purples, and it's got this hot pink in it as well. Most of it's in the blacks. A little bit of it is in the colors, but I thought it might make a good one, make some interesting peacocks. And I did get a little bit of progress on this one. Let's see if you can see it a little better with white behind it. I'm not fussy cutting it yet, but I'm trying to be intentional on where some of the colors and blacks do land to give some interest to the birds. This one's a little stripy, but now the one that I do think I'll end up fussy cutting on is the next one that I was going to work on. This one here with the big tail. I'd like the tail to be all the brighter colors and then maybe do the body in the black. So that would require some fussy cutting, and then I would end up with a lot of black, which I may just use to do the letters down here, because I got to do something with all this black, and I won't have enough floss to fussy cut everything. But like I said, that one in particular is, you know, pretty dense stitching, and I thought it would look nicer if it had the fully colored tail as opposed to something that's just striped out, because I'm not quite sure how I would get a good mix of the black and the colors on it to, you know, work it in one nonstop stretch of floss. Next on my list is, again, another start. It's the GH 1875 sampler, which I'm sure you've seen this. Like Sean from Periwinkle Stitcher is working on this. Sarah Stitchy Spot, I believe, if I remember right, is going to be working on this. Trying to think if there's others. But I did get a start on this particular one. And if you give me a second. I started in this upper left corner. I apologize, there's a hanging thread. I started on the border on this one in this upper left-hand corner. I found it really interesting that a lot of these flowers, this one's a blue one here, but these other ones are more almost like oranges, tans, like yellows, goldish yellows, that they aren't as bright a colors as I thought they looked like on the sampler, but it's still going to be a really beautiful sampler when it's finished. But that was one that I started on after my last Flosstube. Now, one that I had started on before my last Flosstube that I forgot to show, I didn't know where it was at, is a Blackbird design. It's called Evelyn Cunningham. I don't have the book out. It's this one here. It's actually in this design, the Blackbird design that has spring, autumn, and winter in it. It's on the winter chart, this Evelyn Cunningham is. And again, I was going to make that as a heritage piece for my husband because of the deer on it. And I did start working on it. I didn't make as much progress as I probably should have, but it was quite brown, so it was getting a little boring stitching. I did start to add one of the pinker flowers in just to give me some color, because I do tend to can get bored sometimes if it's all one color. So that's where I am with that one. Let me get this put away. We'll move on to the next one. Another one that I found that I forgot to show last time is a Hands Across the Sea sampler design. And it is actually a darning sampler. It's called M. Nenquin 1872. And it could almost be a Christmas design because it's got so much red and green in the borders on it. And in the lettering. But that's a Hands Across the Sea design. This one I'm actually making good progress on. I started again in the upper left corner. And I've been working down the side. So I've got probably about a third of it done. I wanted to get down into the darning part. I've never done a darning sampler, and I did want to get down to that. This one actually was a really enjoyable stitch. By working down instead of across, I was able to get into different things to work on. Like, I'm not a big alphabet person. Alphabets like this that are sort of plain, non-interesting, I don't really enjoy working on those. But when I get down into this one, was okay because it was a little bit more script-like. Now this one I enjoyed because to me these are, while they're letters, they're still almost like motifs because of the intricacy of the designs of the different ones. So I did enjoy working on those. And again, I started with one of the darning areas. There's, if I remember right, 6 or 7 of those across the bottom. And they're all different designs, different styles for use in repair of fabric. And I know I've been bad about telling you what fabrics all this stuff is on. This particular one is on Silk Weaver Sandcastle. It's a 32 count fabric that I'm putting that one on, that design on. Another thing that I found, which reminds me, I'm still missing something else I've been working on, and you'll again have my working copy. It's called Snow Angel. This was Snow Angel by Stony Creek, and I've been working on my working copy with it. This one, I do have some frogging to do on it. White is a particularly difficult color to work with. I'm happy with the way the white is laying up here in the face, but down here in the body, I'm really unhappy with the way it's laying, so I'm going to end up frogging out most of the body, most if not all of the filling in the body, so that I can redo that. But here's where it is so far. And even though I'm not particularly a holiday stitcher, that one I thought was cute enough that it's captured my interest and kept my interest. Another one that I started this time is, let me get it out of the bag. It's in this Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer Day book. And the one that I'm working on is this one up here. And this is a blackbird design. This one's called Darling Buds of May. And I didn't get a whole lot done on this. I did a center start on this one just because of the fabric that I'm working on. I can sometimes scrimp a little bit on the fabric, and especially on this, which I thought would end up as a pillow design likely. I scrimped a little bit on the amount of fabric that I left on the border for this one. And then one final one that I found that I forgot to show you last time. This is, I'll show you back here. That's actually the pattern, so I can't get it too close to show you. But I've been working on this. Doing it 1/1 on this particular fabric, so it does take some time. This is a legacy linen fabric, and if I remember right, it's a 45 count, and it, am I doing 1/1? Might be doing 2/1, excuse me, on this legacy linen fabric. But what I'm finding is this sure does seem like it's a lot tighter than the 45 count that it's called out on the fabric. So it is taking time, but I think it'll be really cute when it's done. It'll probably be about 4 inches wide or so when it's done. I was working on it sort of like a ornament for the Christmas tree, but again, this is definitely a investment and a labor of love. I appreciate you coming along on this journey, seeing what WIPs I've worked on, what finishes I have, both further in the past and more current, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. See you soon. Bye. One thing I wanted to ask is if you'd consider joining me in working on this Primrose Cottage St. Patrick's Day Quaker. My birthday is actually on St. Patrick's Day, so I wanted to work on this. I reached out to Tara Sullivan at Sully Stitches and seen if she wanted to work on it, because she's mentioned it in several of her last Flosstubes. She didn't know if she'd get a chance, but I did want to reach out and extend the invitation to you to work on this with me. If you do, just tag it on Instagram with hashtag Lucky17Sal, and we can work on this together, see who's working on it, join on the fun. I thought what I'd do is start on it here on the 17th of February in a week. That would give you time to get the chart, get your flosses and fabrics pulled together for it. It should be a pretty quick stitch, so I thought if we did start it on the 17th of February, we should be able to get it done by the 17th of March and have it ready to be put out for St. Patrick's Day. So if you would, join us. Again, tag me with the Lucky 17 Sal tag. Thanks. I appreciate you coming along on this journey, seeing what WIPs I've worked on, what finishes I have, both further in the past and more current, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. See you soon. Bye.